transformation even more effective. Whatever feeling has arisen now, try to focus on that feeling. Allow your mind to be totally soaked by the feeling. So that you grow more familiar with abstaining from getting angry and instead embrace challenging situations and difficult people. Ready to go for another hour? You need more suffering, more causes? Okay. But just with regard to this meditation, if you choose to do this meditation, actually, I've written it all down. Usually the meditations flow better if I write them down and then read them slowly as we go along. If you want, I can send you a copy. I need to make notes. So it makes it easier. I'm happy to do that. But also I use, a lot of the times I use Sangye Khadra's book. Well, it's not the name of the book, it's Kathy McDonald, that's her American name, but Sangye Khadra was actually here in Neve Shalom right now. Her book, How to Meditate, very beautiful. So I use her book, I use Thich Nhat Hanh's book for making, doing these meditations. Anyway, so if you're interested in pursuing some of these meditations, and you see the way I've done it was like to take you through a few points, and in the end, whatever feeling arises, you focus on that and allow for it to go a little deeper. Right? I explained that point yesterday, and I'm just stressing it again. That is a way in which actually transformation can take place, because we do things for a reason. We also get angry for a reason. Usually we get angry because someone did such and such and such. So we depend very much on reason. So the way to undo anger, to generate more love and compassion, is again to use reason. But previously the reason we used for anger, the reason that brought forth our anger, is not a correct reason. Usually it's not a correct reason. So we use reason again, but this time we're trying to use correct reasons. Right? So annoying people are good. Where else are you going to learn patience? Yeah. So, and then having them around, trying to be around, we try to avoid them all the time. Oh, if I just had nicer people around me, then I'd be happy. No, first of all, we won't be happier if we have nicer people around, necessarily. And on top of it, how do we practice patience? How do you practice patience with a Buddha? Right? So, or with a nice person, etc. So the best is to have difficult people around. It shows us our own weaknesses and shortcomings. We don't see it that way. Automatically our mind doesn't, but actually it's a great challenge. It's something, it's a bit like if you want to generate more muscles, what are you going to use? A feather? Oh yeah, the muscles are growing. No, you need something heavy. You need something rough. Or if you want to smoothen a piece of wood, are you going to use a smooth cloth? Or are you going to use some sandpaper? Sandpaper is effective. So rough situations make the mind more flexible and more smooth. Exactly what we try to avoid can actually help us to grow. So in order to overcome suffering, we seek out challenging situations, challenging people, and it helps us spiritually. Okay? So there's no contradiction. We do want to overcome suffering in the long term, but we can use any situation to help us grow, to help us find our own shortcomings. And anger never solves the situation anyway. So in that way, if we think about this long enough, then next time when a challenging situation arises, maybe we get angry 2 seconds later. Wow, that's improvement. 2 seconds later. And then maybe 5 seconds and 10 seconds, and you lose the momentum and you don't get angry. Instead you find yourself staying calm and rational and see, how can I solve the situation? How can I, with our partners, right? Usually the people we get the most angry with, the people we do most horrific things to, are the ones we're closest to. We don't talk like that to the bus driver, right? We don't know. It's the people we're the closest to. They're the ones we feel safest with, and we do very cruel things to them sometimes, right? And that often leads to reactions, back and forth and back and forth, and before we know, we're in some kind of pattern, and every time a situation arises, similar action, reaction, action, reaction, and it ends up in divorce half the time, right? So instead, I look at it like a fight is like a fire, and we all provide the fuel. Now I won't be able to change my partner. I mean, I can only change myself. It's very hard to change my partner. But if I don't provide the fuel, and if a kind of fight that comes forth is provided by both, if I don't provide the fuse, then the fire won't burn that much. And it's very difficult to be angry with a person who's not angry. Right? Yeah. If you stay calm and try to understand where they're coming from, right? And say, look, my position is such, and it's without emotions, without strong emotions, but let's reason, let's talk about it. You know, if that's at all possible, and stay calm. Very difficult for them to get angry. And of course, sometimes that doesn't work, but I'm just talking about situations where our own anger just adds fuel to the fire. Okay? So in the end, our relationships are better, we are healthier, we are happier. Okay? When you're in a car, and someone's worse, okay, let them be, never mind. Right? Yeah, it happens. Just let them go, it's okay, never mind, you know. Maybe they're busy, maybe they're stressed out. Let's not add to their stress. There's no point, right? Lots of opportunities. And so, with this here, it just kind of makes our mind stronger, more determined, that when a situation arises, you can stay calm and rational. Yes?
I wanted to say, when I was in India, I had a really nice driver who was with me for the whole month.
Yeah.
And every time someone took him over or something, he said, this man has a bad case of diarrhea.
Oh. Yeah, that's cute. He needs to get home really quickly. Let him get... That's sweet. That guy has a bad case of diarrhea. Yeah, that guy has a bad hummus craving. Well, that's just good. Okay, anyway. All right. So I hope it gives you some sense of those meditations that you may continue. And I'll speak more about, this idea of how to deal with the afflictions, how to remove. But one thing that came to mind is something I wanted to share with you already yesterday, and I didn't come to talk about it. There was no time to do it. But in the connection with karma again, karma is the idea of course, whatever I give out, I give back. So this is something His Holiness mentioned, and just this morning I came across this page. I don't even know whether I find it now. I think it's page 67, I believe. Just a sec. It's about... let me just find it. Okay. It talks about we are often small-minded. It talks about the idea of karma. We like these ideas, and maybe we want to pursue the Dharma further. We want to practice, but we don't create the causes that enable us to continue. So if for some reason we find these practices beneficial, we find it beneficial to pursue teachings, etc., we need to create the causes for that. So whenever I'm in a Dharma center, whenever I'm with people who have centers who organize teachings, there's always a problem finding volunteers. And I know this is the situation here too. I know time is precious. But if we give our time to a Dharma group, it means we make these teachings available. And if we find them helpful, if we make them available, they'll be available to us. So sometimes people don't know the time and effort that is involved in running an organization such as Dharma Friends or other organizations, and there are many of them. What is so precious about Israel? It's such a small country, but they're really beautiful organizations which are relatively harmonious, because Israelis have this culture of assisting one another. There's a very strong sense of community, which is beautiful. But it's not running by itself. If you find the Dharma helpful, what is one way of, at least if it's just thinking of just of yourself, of course for the benefit of others, anyway, but just for your own benefit, what are the causes to receive teachings in the future if you create those? So to help out, to give your time, just money is easy. Time is most important. Time is much more important. So if you have time, if you can spare some time to give it, to organize things, to help out wherever necessary, because you create the causes to receive those teachings, not just for yourself, also for others. Yeah? So I just wanted to inspire you if I can. And His Holiness says, we on the other hand are often small-minded. When asked to do something, we pull back, citing lack of time or impermanence. But when it comes to our own welfare, whenever it involves more money, a better place to live, or the like, we forget about impermanence. We all need to be aware of this, examining our life to see if this is what we're doing. Right? So we have no time when it comes to providing possibly the Dharma, but if it's like short-term kind of, then we're ready, we have time. So I'm just saying it's for our own benefit. Like, when I first started teaching, I was like, I don't know whether I really want that. But initially, what was also in the back of my mind, well, if I want these teachings to be available to me sometime in the future, I have to create the cause for that, right? So, of course, I want others also to get a taste of it. And whether you like it or not, it's up to you. And if you don't like it, well, you find maybe something else. But at least introduce it, make it available, give people a choice. So I think that's really important. And I have talked to some friends of mine, and as it turns out, yeah, there's a problem with volunteers. There's a problem with people volunteering. And we could spend maybe less time watching a movie, or, spend less time doing other things which are less important, but make sure that this is available to ourselves and others. So it's just from a karmic point of view, so beneficial. So I thought, okay, since I heard that, now I always mention it. I'll always mention it, so people at least know, because everything is running so smoothly. I mean, when I see it, it's like everything is running so smoothly. It looks like it's just running by its own, but that's because the people who volunteer are so skillful. They're in the back, they're doing their job, don't get any credit, and in the end, we're rewarded by, you know, all this. This is amazing, you know, putting this together, organizing everything, the tea, the coffee, the cake, all this. It seems to run so smoothly, but if you want to enjoy this in the future, we contribute, we enjoy, and we give it to others too. How much suffering is there in this country? You know, it's a Western country. I'm not talking about the political situation. I'm talking about a Western country with the stress of the 21st century. How many people need to see a psychiatrist? How many people are depressed? How many people? So maybe they could find something in the Dharma. And if it's just a little bit, they find a solution to their problem. And we contributed to this. How much more meaningful is our life? So we don't need to go out and I mean, if we can, of course, wonderful, if we can treat people directly, if we're psychologists and so forth, but if we're not and we contribute, we make this possible. So something I thought I need to not forget, so I thought just now I'll say it right away, and then maybe you could pass on the message that this group will continue, and not just this group, other groups. I mean, wherever you're active, whatever you can do to make available something that you find beneficial. Of course, if you don't find it beneficial, then you may find something else where you can help out. But to give something back to society, give back something back to the community. Yeah? I think that's important. All right. So this also refers to karma. It also refers to bringing forth more happiness. And even if it's just ordinary happiness, it's just plus 10 degree, but that's still better than minus or 0, until we eventually overcome even our limited happiness. Okay? But to go back to the truth, the Four Noble Truths, so the truth of suffering, done with that, enough suffering for today. Okay? Now after all the sitting, you may become aware of a lot of suffering anyway. But then, to speak a little bit more about the origin of suffering, so as we've heard, the misperception of reality. What's your name again? Pardon? Meir. Oh yeah, I could never say that even last time. Meir. So Meir gave me the title of a book, which I thought to share with you, because sometimes we hear the same kind of Buddhist explanation over and over again, and I find sometimes to get, using different words, using slightly different explanation, can just make the picture more complete. So we had that talk, and Meir said something very profound. He said, sometimes we forget that language, it seems that language expresses reality, whereas language actually creates reality. Very profound. I need to write this down before I forget. So, it seems language merely expresses reality, but language creates reality. Right? The way we use language, he gave the example, like when you look at a mountain and a valley, you know, like a mountain and a valley. Is there really a mountain and a valley? No, there's no real mountain and valley, but we impute mountain and we impute valley on this, right? It's not really found there. And then we believe, oh, there's an object that's kind of shouting, I'm a mountain, I'm a valley, right? So we're creating this. We're creating this reality, but then we'll believe it's really there from the side of the object. Same with the 10 shekel, I was going to say, 100 shekel. As if there was like 100 shekel in and of itself. No, we created it. We created the I, we created others. And now we believe when we say I'm just expressing what's there. But no, using language creates reality. Anyway, the book he told me about, let me see where the heck I can still find it. Oh yes, it's called Language, Thought and Reality. Selected writings of Benjamin Lee, L-E-E, Worf, W-H-O-R-F. Benjamin Lee Worf. Okay, so this may be something we may be interested in.
It's translated into Hebrew.
Oh, it's translated into Ivrit. You can read it in Ivrit.
What's the name of the book in Hebrew?
Oh, what's the name? Oh.
Benjamin Lee Worf.
No, what's the name in Hebrew of the book?
Thoughts, language, machshavot, safa, machshavot. What is in English?
Can you read the Hebrew?
אין שום דבר לא מתורגם חוץ מזה.
Does it say the title? Doesn't give a deadline. Anyway, you can find it online. I did find it online, Language, Thought and Reality. Anyway, if that may help you. I mean, of course, there are a lot of Buddhist texts that are also available, but they don't really go into language to such a degree, which may be helpful for us to get a more thorough understanding. And of course, I can totally recommend one book by His Holiness called How to See Yourself as You Really Are, which is also available in Hebrew. Gila translated it. Gila, what's the title of the book in Hebrew? Yeah, it's kind of a long title. So that's available in Hebrew or in English. Again, very beautiful. It talks about the reasonings for why we do not exist the way it appears. But which takes us back to the idea that because of that misperception, then other states of mind, we add something to reality, we add an intrinsicness, an independence, an objectiveness to phenomena, to the eye, which it actually doesn't possess. And then, having exaggerated already with regard to how we perceive things, on top of that we exaggerate the good qualities of something. We see them as intrinsic in that person. We only see that, it blows up and we get angry. With regard to attachment, we just focus on the positive. We don't see the negativity. We just exaggerate. Our mind always adds a little bit. And it takes some time to recognize that. It takes some time to recognize that. Because I've only mentioned very intense examples of attachment. Like, you know, when I was smitten with this guy. And when after a year, I noticed I was just projecting. Or I didn't even notice that, you know. But now in retrospect, I go back and go, oh, me thinking, what was I thinking? Is just an expression of me exaggerating in the first place. So when we recognize that, then instead of believing our attachment, we believe in our attachment. We believe that the object that appears to that awareness really exists over there, and that's the object we need to pursue. That's the object we need to harm. That's the object, you know, when there's this wish to harm. So instead of believing it, to question it. Is this really right? Am I really seeing things as they are? And oftentimes after we get angry, we go back to the situation and we reflect on it again. And what is a very effective means, of course, towards anger is to put yourself in the other person's shoe. No, we can, of course, never really understand how they're thinking, but we can get one sense. What is their perspective? What is he or she thinking, right? Why are they saying what they're saying? Why are they doing what they're doing? And sometimes we get to understand it to such a degree that we can let go of our resentment. We can let go of our... And instead replace it with care for the other person. Right? Caring for them. Okay, so whatever they've done out of a problem or, you know, whatever is driving them. How can I help them? How can I help to assist them? And if that's our partner, you know, they pick up on that. They understand we're actually sincerely interested in their well-being. And depending on who the person is, but oftentimes we find that they repay us in the same way. Okay? So attachment and love are mixed with our relationship. In our relationship, when we say we love a person, love is defined as a state of mind, a caring attitude that wants a person to be happy. Well, am I saying am I saying you don't love your partner and so forth? No. There are times when you sincerely wish for that person to be happy, right? If something good happens to them, we rejoice. Oh, how wonderful. He's happy. She's happy. I'm so happy for them. So that's true love. Yeah? But there are times when we feel the other person needs to make us happy. Can't be without this person. You know, they need to make me happy. They need to do this for me, that for me. And if it doesn't come, you know, then we get angry with them. We start squabbling. We start arguing. So I don't know maybe I tell you the story of a very inspirational relationship. I don't know whether you're all in relationships. Some of you may be celibate. I mean, maybe. Or some of you may, you know, not be in a relationship. But it's still helpful. For me, it's been very inspiring. There is a woman in Dharamsala. She lived in Dharamsala for a while with her partner. She was French, but her partner was also French. And they were together for more than 30 years, I believe. And one day, he fell in love with a Korean woman who was about his age, a little younger. He fell in love with her. And first he kept it secret from her. And eventually she found out, something was going on. She found out. And when she found out, of course she was deeply hurt. Nothing had really happened, but she knew he wanted to be with her. And she decided, oh, what a good opportunity to practice the Dharma. Now I can really practice. This is a challenging situation. What is my relationship with them? Do I really want him to be happy? It was difficult for her. Trust me, she lost a lot of weight. I met her on a couple of occasions, asked her what's the situation. But she decided, I love him. I want him to be happy. And if I want him to be happy, I need to let him go. Right? So this is for me, I feel right about it. I feel good about it. So she decided, I will do my very best. So whenever the thought came, oh, can't be, how can you leave me? She thought, okay, let's just calm down for a moment. I want him to be happy. I love him. So she tried to remind herself again and again, and really tried to transform that sense of jealousy and anger and so forth into love. Very inspiring to see her do that. So eventually she said, look, don't be honest with me. Tell me what's going on. I don't want to harm you. Just let me know. And I want you to be happy. And she really convinced him. And he said, okay, I'll be honest. Instead of hiding it, he was honest with her. He said, I want to be with her. I don't know. I can't help it. I'm very, drawn by her. And she said, okay, if that's what you need, think about it. But if you need, I will assist you if you want to be with her, help you to pack your bag, basically. And that's what she did. Okay? So, very hard for her, but she kept so disciplined. It's part of Joy's effort. Discipline. She just tried to be, okay, this is the right thing. I want to be truthful. I want to be, I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror and really be able to practice. So that's what she did. And he went. He left. He left her. He was back a month later. I mean, where do you find someone like that? Oh, honestly. I mean,
This is a simple polish of guilt feeling. It's so simple.
It's simple what? No, I don't think so. No, I think, no. They were not polished. They're French.
If someone is willing to do such thing for you,
You feel they really love.
really love.
That's what he said. That's apparently what he said. He said, look, I've really felt you were interested in my benefit most and foremost. And I don't think this woman was like that. And I noticed, I mean, I'm sure she was a wonderful person, but he felt that she had really had his interest mainly in her. So people notice that when we sincerely love them and they really feel, we have their interest at mind. And so we can train that. So if we're able to train that, we can inspire the other person to be likewise, to be like that. If we show other people, and you meet people who have maybe a partner who's very altruistic, loves them unconditionally, and you feel how they start doing the same thing. You learn from each other. If I'm grasping and if I want this and that, they may respond in the same way. So I cannot change someone. I can just be someone and then hope to inspire others. Be a good example. And what a wonderful example we are to our children in that way. Such responsibility to have children. And the best way to educate them is to live what we teach them. Be kind, be generous, be patient. I mean, we can't say that to them and not be ourselves in that way. So we have such responsibility. I think that's the beauty of having children, that you can really give something to the world, because those are the future, those are the future generations. And that's a very good reason to really practice, to sincerely practice. And the good thing is everyone can change. We can all change, right?